So today we're going to talk about another controversial topic that's been out there. It's in every politician's mind. It's in every feminist activist's mind. The issue of gender pay. It's a very controversial issue. I have strong opinions about it. I think you have some opinions about it. When you hear about gender pay, what comes to mind? Gender pay gap, should I say?
What comes to mind is equality.
Yeah.
First of all, men and women.
Yeah.
If you are performing, if you are employed to perform a certain task.
Yeah.
If you are performing those tasks.
Yeah.
I think you deserve to be remunerated equally.
Equally. Yeah.
No one, not the man, not the woman, should be paid any less.
Yeah, and I agree with that.
Because
People should
of
not
their
be paid.
gender,
Or
anything like that, right?
Do you think that gender pay gap is common, where men and women are paid? Men and women who do the same job are paid the same, or are paid differently. Sorry.
I think it's a common thing. I think I've heard many women complain about it. And again, just to be clear, I know that there are certain employers. So if you're employed by a government, it's very likely that there are very few or no issues when it comes to gender pay. You are classified in a certain category, you're employed to do a particular job, and you get paid the same amount.
Right.
In most cases, for government and those companies who have been able to structure pay in that way, but that is not the case for most companies out there, especially when you get to upper management, where you're signing an individual contract. I think most of the time women are cheated out of a lot of money.
Who's that? Anyway, let's take step by step, because those things are they're very common. They are usually pushed out there, but I have a contrary opinion.
Okay.
I think most companies pay people who are in the same category. First of all, it's very hard to get people who are the same. Most companies pay people who do the same job the same. It's a law in Canada, in the US, in Cameroon, most parts of Africa, to discriminate against somebody based on their gender. And I know there's always this number that's shown out there, particularly in the US, that a woman is paid 77 cents per dollar.
Yeah.
But when you have to take note that when they're doing those calculations, they don't take how much hours the woman works. They don't take what profession that the women are in. They don't take how much time off that women take to be able to meet family demands. So they just take the gross salary of what women do and what men do, and then they calculate and they come out with the average, which I think is very unfair. If that makes sense.
I mean, it might sound unfair, but I think...
the calculations.
Yeah, but again, when you're talking about the disparity, you're looking at situations where a man and a woman put in the same amount of work, spend the same amount of time, and get paid less.
And when they do that calculation for the same amount of job, the same amount of time, the difference is negligible.
There's a difference, irrespective of whether
it's very negligible
or not.
Actually, there's a lot of research to show that before women have children, they actually make more than men. The difference in gender pay gap is really between people who are working, men who are working, and women who have children, women who are mothers. Because women have to take time up to be able to meet child demands. Women have to take time off to have children. And if you do that for 2, 3 years, 4 years, and your male counterpart keeps working, he's building up experience, he's building up more, how do you call it? Your pay increases that time that you're in work. And then you cannot say those people should be paid the same.
What I'm saying, and my argument, your argument is quite correct. If the man has gained a lot more experience than the woman, then I don't think you can say that they fall under the same category. Even if they fall under the same category, I think the number of years of experience does matter or should matter in the pay, right? But what most women and what many women are talking about is when everything is equal, right? Which
I think is not true.
There are many women who don't have kids who have focused on their career.
Actually, women
are still getting paid less.
Those women, they actually make the same or more than men.
They are getting paid less.
Not necessarily. No.
What?
If you go and look at it statistically, no.
No,
They're not. Women who are putting out the same amount, women who actually focus on their career and didn't have family actually make more than men.
I don't know. I haven't
Yeah,
seen.
that's why
evidence.
I say I don't know. That's why I think gender pay gap is a myth. There's another thing there's another thing that we need to factor into, that it's always factor in the calculation of gender pay gap. They don't take into consideration the professions that women are in. Women generally choose profession that brings them satisfaction. A man will choose a profession because of the earning.
But when they talk about pay gap, man, they are not comparing different professions. They are comparing the same. It has to be the same profession. People are in the same profession.
But that's a problem.
But I don't think that.
That's the problem. They don't take that into consideration. They just take what all women do and what men do.
No, I don't think that.
You want us to find out how gender pay gap is calculated.
Let's find out. I don't think that's how it should be. If that's how it's calculated, then I don't think that it's pretty wrong. You can't take a woman who is say a nurse. Example.
This is just a simple Google search.
Yeah.
The wage gap in dollars is calculated by subtracting women's average wage from men's average wage.
It's still very vague.
That's still very vague. So they take all what women do, they take the average of that, they take all what men do, they take the average of that, and then they say this is a gender pay gap. That's how they calculate it.
I would say that is vague.
And that is what most politicians.
Know if that is the appropriate calculation that should be happening.
That is what most politicians use to justify their argument for gender pay gap.
Well, if that is the formula they are using, then it's pretty.
That's what I'm saying. It's a very faulty formula.
It's unfair to the woman to even try to put a woman in a place where they are making those calculations. Right?
Yeah.
My argument is this: if I am a nurse, for example, and there is another woman who is a nurse, and we are putting the same hours and we are doing the same functions, we should be paid equally.
And that happens in more times than not. Like, it's
I recognize that it happens, but you need to also agree and recognize that yes, in some cases it does not happen, where people do the same thing but don't get paid the same. You have
just because they are female?
Yes, you have to first of all recognize that. Yes.
But, okay, why would they not be paid the same? Like, what is the company's motivation not to pay a woman the same who has the same experience or even more than a man? What's the company's motivation?
There are too many stereotypes. First of all, you're looking at a woman and you're thinking very soon she would go have a child, and you're thinking in your head, this is not a good investment.
No, but
you're looking at a woman and you're stereotyping and saying that this woman.
But that has nothing to do with. That has nothing to do.
It affects your pay. If I see you as not good enough, it affects how I get to pay you.
No, my point is that has nothing to do with whatever amount goes into the payroll and comes out. It has nothing to do, because we're just putting in the number of hours, and a nurse is supposed to make this amount of hours, this amount of dollars per hour. You put in the system. That's it.
Like I said, for some professions, they are this pays the skills are standardized.
Yeah.
If I employ you as a nurse, for example, with
you're paid per hour.
I put you in a certain category and I pay you.
Yeah.
That's it. In those cases, yes, everybody gets
which is most professions.
No, in the business professions, I don't think it's like that. It's not like that.
Okay,
people get signed individual contracts.
Yeah. Okay. Let's start with the professions that are paid per hour. Why will a company be motivated to pay a woman less? Where they just have to put your experience, and it's a system that calculates that.
I agree.
You agree with me that it would be negligible. So we can dismiss those professions outside. Okay.
We're
going to higher management professions where people have to negotiate their salaries.
Yes.
People are negotiating their salaries. Why are women not negotiating for higher salaries?
You could ask for 20,000, and I am the employer. I say I'm giving you 15.
Yeah,
we will negotiate, but that's the amount I'm giving you.
Yeah, but that comes out of your negotiation skills. It's not necessarily because of your gender. That's what I'm trying to say.
I personally think that gender has a big role to play in that.
Why? Okay.
And
I think it does.
The employer is looking at a young girl and thinking, at some point this girl is going to get married. This girl is going to have children. She's going to be taking maternity leave.
Right.
Even when she's done maternity leave, once in a while her child is going to get sick. She will need a week. She will need 2 weeks. They take all that into consideration.
Right.
And to them, even though you might be as qualified as a man, they would look at you and say, hey, for these reasons, I'm not paying you this much. Because you are not necessarily reliable, because you'll be taking time off to go take your kid to the hospital or to spend to go for a maternity leave or things like that. And those are the things that they would consider in negotiating your pay. And they would say, hey, if there's an emergency, I can't call this woman out of the house at 1 a.m. She will not leave her kids and her husband to come out. But that's discrimination. Those are assumptions. Those are not necessarily true.
But in many cases they are true.
Again, like I'm saying, not necessarily true.
So
how do you justify which case would fit that situation by looking at a woman who is asking for a job? You can't
I guess you can justify that, but here's a point that I want to throw in there that goes into a lot of businesses are focused on making profit. If you want to take somebody who is reliable, you can call at 2 a.m. and the person is willing to leave the house and come, you are guaranteed that person to be able to work for 52 weeks without taking a break. Most companies will pay for more. And I think if a woman is willing to be able to do that, she should get the pay.
But my question is, why should a woman have to sacrifice those other aspects of her life just so that she gets paid equally with
because the companies want high performing people.
And who says she's not high performing? Who says when she has a child she cannot be high performing? Who says when she has a child she can't she can't come and deal with an emergency?
But you already said that. You are the one who just said that this woman will likely take time off to have children.
That the employers are making those assumptions.
Right, they are making those assumptions because at the end of the day, if a woman says she doesn't want children, why she will not get pregnant? Why should she not be employed?
Why should she tell you, the employer, whether or not she wants to have kids?
Well, she should not. I don't think she should.
So how do you know that she's going to or she's not going to have kids?
Well, I don't think you should know that. I don't think you should assume that. But you should be a business. At the end of the day, wants to make profit, and they want the most performing people. And I think women who can be able to leave their houses, like you said, all those things, to be able to leave their houses and come in there, should get these jobs, if that makes sense,
and get the same pay.
And get the same pay.
The job. It's
but
getting the same pay.
If I am the company, I'm the employer, I should be able to have an employee who is reliable. If I call you 1-2 times and you tell me you could not come because you're taking your kid to the hospital and whatever, it means you're not meeting my demand. And I'm going to find someone who's going to meet that demand, be it a man or a woman. So it's not like I'm discriminating. It's that I'm focused on making profit for my business.
And because you're wanting to make profit, you're allowed to discriminate. Because it is a
people
form of
do that all the time. People do that. Businesses do that all the time.
And the question is it correct? Is it correct?
Well, but it's the same thing that if you submit your CV and your CV doesn't meet a certain expectation, that candidates that were already more qualified than you, that's discrimination.
It's not. I don't think it's about your CV. It's about employers wanting to exploit, looking for people that they can exploit, like looking for people that they could call at 1 a.m. in the morning who are not even supposed to be at work.
Why are they not supposed?
Because your work ends at 6. You have a contract. You have a contract.
Yeah, then you're not supposed to be called at night.
6.
You're not supposed to be called at night.
But employers are looking for people that they can abuse. I think for me that is what that is.
No, but you but the assumption, I think we have different assumption. My assumption is that you should be able to work at any time. That's the assumption I had. If you're employed by this company, you should be able to answer the phone call at 1 a.m. That's the assumption I have. If your work ends at 6, there's no point your employer coming here at 1 a.m.
How many
that doesn't make sense.
How many times have we had employers call people outside their work hours to deal with issues?
That's not acceptable.
So they are looking for a man because they believe that we can easily get this guy to come out and do work.
So is that
outside working hours?
Right.
And
so is that discrimination against men or against women?
Against the woman.
But that's also discrimination
because
against
they feel like they can do that to a man. They are more.
So who are they exploiting more, the men or the women?
They're exploiting the woman.
But they're also exploiting the man because they're calling you to come to the work at 1 a.m.
Yes, but the point is that because they can pull you out, they think that they can pull you out of your house at 1 a.m. in the morning. They would prefer to pay you a little bit more. Even if at the end of the day they don't pull you out. So they make these assumptions. Which maybe at the end of the day they don't get to use, they don't get to act on it. But they make those assumptions, and then women are paid less. Because of the assumptions that they make. You employ a woman thinking that eventually she would have kids. For that reason, you're paying her a certain amount of money. She doesn't have kids. And then she gets the same. So it's looking at it's the assumptions.
Anyway,
that is the problem.
I think we're talking about high performing individuals, people who have to negotiate their salaries. That is very different from people who are paid per hour, because that one.
No, but we have all agreed that the system is set up in a way that everybody gets paid the same. But now we are looking at those areas of employment where people have to negotiate
their salary.
What they make.
So, because what at the end of the day, I'm trying to put in the aspect of an employer there. If I'm negotiating a salary with someone, and I'm saying these are the things that I want of you. I want you to be available 24 hours. I can call you at any time. I want you to be able to stay longer at work, and I want you to be able to travel for long time, for lengthy periods of time. Are you willing to do this?
In effect, you're saying you're looking for someone that you could abuse and exploit.
No, but you're not forced.
Exploiting.
No, but you're not forced to accept this. These people are usually compensated very heavily, and you are not forced to accept. If you don't want to accept it, say no. You're not forced. There's no gun to your head that you must accept the job. If it doesn't meet your demand, if you don't think you can be away from your family,
in that position, who do you think would accept a job like that? A man or a woman?
Usually
really?
A man.
Generally speaking.
Because men can be exploited more, because men are exploited more by companies than women.
So you're agreeing that companies are looking for people that they can.
Yeah, that's what me and you are agreeing, that men are exploited more by companies.
As a result, they some sort of discriminate against the woman.
Well,
who they assume they cannot exploit.
You're using to. I think women don't want to be exploited. Women are not exploited by companies the way men are exploited by companies.
But men should not even be exploited. We're having this conversation as if men should be.
No, in order for you to be compensated, you're just thinking like this thing is a one-way thing. For men to be able for you to be exploited that way, you have to be compensated handsomely. That's the point. And most men are willing to sacrifice those things to be able to attain this handsomeness. So those men, it's not for free. Because if you are willing to be able to wake up at 1 a.m. and go to work, you should be able to be paid an amount that meets those demands. And if you don't want it, you don't have to accept the job. I'm telling you, if I tell you I'm going to pay you 200,000 a year for you to be able to wake up every 2 a.m. and to be at work 16 hours a day, most men will take those jobs. But most women, because they have other family demands, will say, no, I can't meet family needs and do that. I will not be exploited by the company because I have other child needs to meet. So who is really exploited here? For me, it's men. It's not really women.
Let's come back to the pay gap. Because
I think we're discussing the pay gap already.
Let's come back. Let's come back a little bit. Again, we are looking at we've looked at situations at the extremes, right?
Yeah, we're looking at the extremes.
Look at a normal work day.
Yeah,
normal working. Take a warehouse, for example, right? You run a warehouse, you're employing loaders or whatever you call them, and then you have a man and a woman. From what I've read, what I've seen, I've read and I've heard women say that they
don't accept the job.
They even when they do accept the job, when you look at their pay, it's different from those. Men are generally paid higher, and then again, what I'm saying is the fact that men are paid higher isn't necessarily because they do better than women. It's because employers make certain assumptions about men.
No, but I think we already established the fact that if you're paying people hourly, you just put people's experience and then you key in the number of hours that
I'm talking about people who are paid hourly but who still have to individually negotiate their contracts.
I don't know how you do that. Like, how do you do that?
When I was a security guard, we all did security guard, but our pays, how much we got at the end of the end of hours were different.
Yeah,
right. When I worked at the warehouse, even with, of course, it's hourly.
Yeah.
But our pays were usually different. If when you talk to your colleagues, some were paid 18, some were paid 16.
Did those people have more experience than?
No, we're doing the same thing. We got there. We were doing the same thing.
No, I know you're doing the same thing, but did they have more experience coming into that job? Because you also have to factor all those things. Do people have experience when they come in the job? If people have more experience,
what experience do you need loading, picking boxes?
If you say you've been doing warehouse jobs for 5 years,
one place to the next, how better do you do it than me who just started? We are picking the same size.
But there's experience in that too. But there's experience in that too.
That is for me.
Is there no experience
in what?
In warehouse jobs?
Yes. No, let's tell warehouse jobs. It's not. I'm not saying that you were the supervisor. I'm saying we're employed to pick boxes from one place to the next.
Yeah, I thought all entry warehouse jobs they pay the same.
No,
all of them they pay the same.
No, they don't.
I think so.
No, I have worked there. I negotiated.
I worked in warehouse too.
They
so
paid you all the same.
I think they pay the same. Yeah.
Did you talk to your colleagues?
I did not, but I think they pay the same because all the entry level jobs.
I talked to my colleagues and we were not all
the
same.
No. Yeah.
But again, like I'm saying, that it's in those areas where women are.
I think women who have the experience, women who have the know-how, they should be compensated for what their value is.
Should be.
And you should not necessarily put in woman or whatever. If you have the experience, if you have the know-how, you should be paid for that. And when it comes to higher positions where people have to negotiate their salaries, you as a woman should ask for the best salary if you're providing the best services. And I think the behavioral psychologist, which I love a lot, Jordan Peterson, he's done a lot of study here on negotiating behavior. Women are generally more agreeable than men. Right? Women, because they have other needs that they have to meet, they'll generally try to I don't know if it's being shy, but they don't want to ask for the top jobs. I think I encourage all women to ask. They don't want to ask for the top pay. I think I encourage all women, if you have the skills, you should ask for the top salary.
What you ask and what you get, I agree with you. But we also know that what you ask and what you get offered are usually,
and what you get is because of the conditions that you propose.
Yeah.
So it's not like
as a result of biases too.
As a result of nature. That's why I have a problem. That's why I have a problem with the word bias.
No.
Well, because if women is it bias that women are generally caretakers?
It's a bias for me to assume that you would in 2 years you would be having kids.
Well, I don't. Well,
don't you think so?
I don't. It's a bias. It's a bias. The same way. No, it's a bias. The same way you can say it's a bias to know that if you call a man at any time, you come. So you can look at it both ways. Like, I guess we don't agree. Anyways, you can
one of the few times that we don't agree. Yeah. We don't agree.
That's part of life.
I believe strongly that there are many women out there who do the same work, who put in the same energy, who put in the same time, who make the same level of sacrifices as men, but who get paid less than.
I think it exists.
Yes.
I'm not saying it doesn't exist. I think it exists, but the way it is pushed out there, like it happens in every field and in everything, and like there are no reasons why these differences exist. It's so untrue. That's my point. I agree that these differences exist, but there are reasons why they exist. That's just what I'm trying to say at the end of the day.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
It makes sense.
Anyway,
I don't agree, but it makes sense.
Anyway, let us know what you think.